Hi, welcome. I'm Susan, and I'm teaching this class, Comeback Yoga. It's a gentle yoga class with meditation, about 50 minutes. We do about 30 minutes or so of moving and stretching and breathing, and then we do about 20 minutes or so of meditation, and that can be done lying down or sitting with your back against the wall. However you want to do it is just fine. We'll start sitting as comfortably as possible. So if this doesn't look comfortable, if it doesn't feel comfortable to you, then you change how you sit. You might, I'm just going to give you a couple examples. You might sit with one leg or both legs forward. You might have your legs underneath you, folded up like this. There's so many different ways that you might sit comfortably. It doesn't have to look like me. It doesn't have to look like anybody else. If you're practicing with somebody else, it doesn't have to look like them either. So once you've found your comfortable as possible position, notice the length of your spine. You're sitting on your sit bones and you're lengthening through your spine, lifting through the crown of your head. If you pull your face back a little bit, you can feel the strength of the front of your throat and the length of the back of your neck. And this aligns your spine, your head, your rib cage, your pelvis. Your legs extend from the lower part of your torso, and your arms extend from your shoulders. And once you've arranged your body in this way, start to notice things about your body. So notice things like the sensation of maybe moving your fingers or your toes. You can notice things like the sensation of moving your shoulders or tilting. You can notice the blinking of your eyes, perhaps, or the movement of your mouth. You might notice a swallow in your throat as you swallow. Now start to notice things happening inside your body. So notice, just like your swallow, that you're breathing. You're inhaling and exhaling. Notice how it feels, your breath. And start to encourage your breath. Encourage your breath to be steady and smooth. Keep encouraging your breath throughout class. Keep paying attention to your breath and let your breath be like your guide. So when your breath is maybe a little bit labored, that's just a sign to you to pay attention, to notice if you want it to be that way, or if you want to dial back your work a little bit so your breath becomes more steady and more even. Maybe you notice that your breath is really steady and even and you want to work a little harder. So your breath can tell you things. Your breath can give you a roadmap, if you will, to how your body is reacting to practice. So put one hand on your chest, maybe over your heart or maybe at your rib cage, and one hand at your stomach. Let your fingers kind of curl softly into your torso and feel your breath not just with your noticing, but also with the physical sensation underneath your hands. Notice your heartbeat. And finally, bring your hands together and rub your hands together. Take your arms out to T, press your palms out to the sides. Inhale to reach your arms overhead, touch your fingertips together. Turn your palms down and glide your hands down the front side of your body in front of your gaze. Put your hands in the tops of your legs and roll your torso in a big circle. Go around to one direction and then go around to the direction. Take your right hand across over toward your left knee and turn and look past your left shoulder. Rotate your torso forward. Take your left arm up and over. Keep your right hand on your left knee and stretch. So you're pressing down onto your left thigh and stretching and reaching with your left arm. Inhale to lift up and take your right hand across over towards your left hand across over towards your right knee. Turn and look. And then your right arm reaches across. Big side stretch. Your left hand is holding on. Your right arm is reaching. Inhale to lift up. Take your right arm underneath your left. Hold your opposite shoulders or wrap your arms around each other. Lift your rib cage. Lift your arms a little. Unwrap your arms. Swirl your left arm underneath your right. Hold your opposite shoulders or wrap your hands around each other. And lift your elbows. Lift your gaze. Unwrap your arms. And take the backs of your hands to the sides of your hips and then slide your hands towards each other behind you. And maybe your hands cross each other and you hold on to your opposite forearms or to your opposite elbows, perhaps. Sit a little bit taller, soften down your shoulders. And let your arms come back out in front. Cross your arms one more time in front of your chest. Lift through the crown of your head. Find that length of your spine. Slide your hands to your opposite elbows. Lift your forearms up toward your forehead. And exhale. Bring your arms out to cactus. Now take your hands and stretch your palms and your fingers and rotate your palms out to the sides. And then turn your palms in toward your ears and let your hands come up towards the top of your head. Softening down on the top of your head, sliding your hands to the back of your head. Interlace your fingers behind your head and pull your face back once again. Feel the length of the back of your neck and the strength at the front of your throat. Now, without changing anything, the position of your head, softly release your grip. Let your arms come back down into your lap. Turn your palms up for a moment. And notice the emptiness of your hands and the length of your fingers. Notice each one of your fingertips. Lift your shoulders up, roll them up, back and down. And take yourself down into table. Now I might turn left and right every once in a while. You can face whichever way you want to. We're in table. My wrists are underneath my shoulders and my knees are underneath my hips. Let's move forward and back a couple of times. Glide forward and glide back, finding the length of your spine, noticing your shoulders and your hips. Then tuck your toes under, let your hips move back toward your heels. Come up into cat pose. Your head drops down, your tailbone's tucked, your belly pulls up. Then soften your belly down. Bring your gaze forward and lift your tailbone. And then let your hips move back toward your heels. Stretching out the bottoms of your feet. Curl your spine, tuck your tailbone, lift your spine up, coming into cat pose. Soften down into cow pose. Your chest comes down, your belly comes down, your tailbone lifts, your gaze lifts. Then lean your hips back toward your heels, stretching out the bottoms of your feet. One more time. Curl under, lift your spine. And then let your belly hang, lift your gaze and your tailbone. And let your hips come all the way back down towards your heels. Lift yourself up, walk your hands forward a little bit, lean into upward facing dog. Pull your hips back and come into child's pose. Your knees come towards each other a little bit and your hips move back toward your heels. And your forearms might come down towards the mat. Rock left and right. Bring yourself back up through seated. And take your legs out in front of you and pedal out your knees and bring yourself in towards the middle of your mat and let your feet roll left and right. Toes point one direction and the other direction. And pick up your right leg and plant your right foot onto the mat and snug your right arm underneath your right leg so you can sit a little bit taller. Press out through your left heel and take your left elbow back behind you. Turn and look past your left shoulder. Then reach down and reach your left hand down towards your left toes. Now you might not touch your toes, you don't have to. You could hold on to the back of your left thigh, the front of your left shin. You might hold on to your toes. Inhale to sit tall again and take your left elbow over towards the left, and then reach forward, touching your left toes wherever your hand comes. Inhale to lift up one more time. Left elbow comes back behind you. And then switch your legs. First, stretch your legs out, roll through your ankles, point and flex your feet. And then plant your left foot onto the mat and snug your left arm underneath your left leg. Reach your right hand down toward toes. And then sit tall and bend your right elbow and turn and look behind you. We're just moving like this 3 times. Stretch forward, reach toward your toes. It's just a direction. Don't worry if you're looking different than me or different than someone who's practicing with you. It's not important. Just paying attention to your body, breathing and stretching and moving. Reach forward one more time. And then sit tall and take both legs out in front of you. Roll through your ankles, point and flex your feet. And then take your left knee out to the side. I'm going to angle a little bit so you can see better. Sit nice and tall. Move your sit bones back a little, kind of wiggle your sit bones back a little, and then sit tall so you can find that length of your spine. Take your right hand across over toward your left knee. Your left hand comes around behind you. Maybe your fingertips are on the floor so you can lift a little more. And rotate, turn with your chest, your sternum. Do less with your head and more with your upper chest and your shoulders. Untwist a little bit and take your left hand and reach your left hand over towards your right foot. This is a straight stretch like this. Reach. And sit tall. And take your left arm, reach up and over, and just do a reach up towards the upper right corner. We'll inhale to lift up. You can release your right hand from your left knee and switch sides. Wiggle your sit bones back a little. Find the length of your spine. Take your left hand across, over, towards your right knee. Your right hand comes around behind you. I have my fingertips on the floor. Lengthen your spine more and turn with your chest. Your sternum turns. Your head doesn't do very much. It just stays in the direction of your sternum. You turn softly, turn your shoulders. Untwist a little. Keep your left hand where it is and stretch your right arm. Cross over. You're not going to touch your toes, but in that direction, straight across. And then sit tall and reach up and over. You're reaching for the upper left corner. We'll inhale to sit tall. Nice work. Soles of the feet together. Knees point out to the sides. And you can hold on anywhere underneath your knees or fronts of your shins or your feet and hinge forward. Take 1 or 2 breaths here in your forward fold. And lift your torso away from your legs. Assist your knees towards each other. Wrap your arms underneath your legs and sit tall. Squish your torso toward your thighs and your thighs toward your torso. And sit very tall. From this tall stance, start to lean back. I'm going to turn. Start to lean back and we'll find boat pose. So you can reach your arms forward, walk your toes back, balance on the back of your hips, and press out through your heels and bring your legs parallel to the floor, your lower legs. Breathe and breathe here. Breathe and breathe and breathe. Nice work. Stretch your legs long. Slide your hands down toward your ankles. Inhale to lift up. Scooch towards the top of your mat. Plant your feet down. Hold on to the backs of your legs and lean back until your arms are really long. Then lower yourself all the way down onto your back. Put your hands on the top of your stomach. Remember at the beginning of class when we had our hands on our rib cages and our bellies. And put your hand kind of like that again. Maybe one hand is on your beating heart and the other hand is on your moving stomach, and you just feel your breath however it is. Your stomach might not move as much, or your rib cage might not move as much. You're doing it right, don't worry about it. Just noticing what happens when you inhale and exhale. Reach down and take your right knee in your chest, towards your chest, and rock your leg around. Let it rock from left to right, side to side. And then stick your leg up into the air, and you can wrap your fingers around this column of your leg and lift your leg with your hand sliding up towards your foot. And then cross your ankle over your opposite knee and flap your knee forward and back a couple times. I'll give you a couple of options. You can reach down and hold on to your legs and bring your knees in toward your chest. You could stick your left leg into the air and reach your fingers up towards your toes. You could bring this left shin parallel to the floor and press out through your heel. Let your left foot come back down to the floor. Uncross. Stick your right leg into the air. Roll through your ankle, point and flex your foot. Your right leg comes forward, so it kind of matches the angle of your left thigh. Interlace your fingers behind your head. Exhale and curl head, neck, and shoulders up towards the center line of the body. This is a variation of half boat. Keep pressing, keep curling, keep breathing. And lower your head back down. Your right foot comes back down. Bring your left knee in toward your chest and draw little circles with your knee. You can bring your knee kind of to the outside towards your left shoulder, and then cross a little bit towards your right shoulder, and then in towards center. Then straighten your leg while you're holding it. Wrap your fingers around the cylinder of your leg and lift. You're sliding your hands up towards your foot. Stretch and lengthen and assist the stretch. And then cross. Ankle over opposite knee. You can flap your knee forward and back a couple times. And then gather up your legs with your arms, and I'll give you a couple different variations here. You can stay right here with your foot on the floor. That's a great variation. You could be here holding on to your crossed legs. You could stick your right leg long and reach up for your toes. If you are looking for a little bit stretchier variation, that's one. And then bring your right shin parallel to the floor. Press out through your heel, toes toward the shin. Nice job. Slowly let your foot come back down to the floor and stick your left leg in the air. Roll through your ankle, point and flex your foot. And lower, forward and forward and forward. Interlace your fingers behind your head and curl head, neck, and shoulders up towards the center line of your body. And switch your legs, left foot down, right leg forward, stretch it long. And switch your legs, right foot down, left leg long. And both feet down, come up onto your toes. Exhale and lower your head back down and cradle your head in your hands and rock your head a little bit left and right. Walk your feet out to the edges of your mat and rock your knees left and right. Reach down and bring your knees in toward your chest with your aid of your arms, your hands behind your knees. Rock from side to side. And lift your heels, roll yourself up to seated. We'll cross legs underneath and come into any variation of downward facing dog that you want to do. So this is downward facing dog here, hips moving back towards the heels. You could also do this variation where your hips stay over over your knees and your arms stretch out in front of you. You can do this variation where your hands and feet are on the floor and your legs and your arms are long. All of it is about stretching your spine. So notice your spine and give yourself opportunities for easeful stretch. Breathe softly. Keep noticing your breath. Keep encouraging communication between your body, your mind, and your breath. One more breath here in your chosen variation of downward facing dog. And slowly bring your knees back down to the mat. Tuck your tailbone under and lift your tailbone. And then we'll take the left leg out to the side. Bend your left knee and turn your left toes out to the side. And start to bring yourself up through kneeling. Roll your shoulders up, back, and down. Take your left forearm onto your left thigh and take your right arm up and overhead. Side stretch into this variation of extended side angle. We'll inhale and lift up and come into kneeling warrior 2. And then take your hands down towards the mat and stick your left leg along out to the side and move your hips left and right. And take your left leg back behind you over towards the right. Any amount. You can tuck your toes under. You can press your toes down and press out through your heel. And bring your left knee on its own side. Tuck your tailbone, lift your tailbone. This time slide your hands forward into upward facing dog. Then move yourself into downward facing dog. Any variation, right? This variation might not be the one that you want. You can choose a different one. Slowly let your knees come down towards the mat. Move through cat and cow a couple times. Stick your right leg out to the side. Right toes point out to the right. Lift your torso, coming up to kneeling. And your right forearm comes onto your right leg, and your left arm reaches up and over. Extended side angle. Sweep your left arm out and back. Arms come to T for warrior 2. And both hands down. Straighten your right leg out to the side and lean your hips over to the left to encourage stretch on the inside of your right leg. And then take your right leg back behind you, tuck your toes under, and press out through your heel. You can turn and look at your right heel over on the left side. Bringing yourself back into table, tucking your tailbone, lifting your tailbone. And this time we'll come into plank position, arms long. You're in kind of a push-up position. Now look, this is also plank, and this is also plank. So you have lots of variations for plank. You can be on your forearms, you could be on your fists, you could be on flat arms or flat hands, and you can have one or both knees down. All different variations, all interesting. And then gradually bring yourself back into your variation of downward facing dog. If you've been doing the same variation all along, try a different one. Breathe in and out. And let your knees come down. This time we'll take the left knee forward and the right leg long back behind you. Coming into pigeon. You can be down onto your forearms. Now, you might notice that your pigeon doesn't look like mine, or it doesn't look like someone you're practicing with. Maybe it doesn't look like what you've done before. That's okay. Yoga is about being in the now. So you don't have to look a certain way or look like you did the last time you practiced. You're seeking to recognize the sensation, what happens when you put yourself in this position. So when your knee is forward underneath you and you're inviting stretch into your hip, inviting stretch into the front of the leg that's behind. Maybe noticing stretch in your ankles. Breathing. Eventually, you can bring yourself back to straight arms if you were leaning forward. Roll over onto your left hip and bring your back leg in front. You can assist it forward with your legs and hold on to your back leg. And now it's the pigeon leg, sitting tall, rocking forward and back. Straighten both legs out in front of you and lean forward into forward fold. Inhale to sit tall, plant your hands back behind you and lift your rib cage into fish pose. Press out through your heels, spread your toes, lift and lengthen through the front side of your body, spread across your collarbones. Move your shoulder blades towards each other. Notice where your gaze is. Maybe bring your gaze to a different place and notice how that gives you perhaps a different sensation. Softening up, soles of the feet together, knees point out to the sides, hinge forward for cobbler's pose. Inhale to lift up, cross your legs underneath you, plant your hands down, coming into upward facing dog, stretching out through the front side of your body and gliding into any variation of downward facing dog. Might be straight legs, might be knees down, might be hips back. You've got so many options. Oh, you might be on your forearms with your fingers interlaced. That's a nice variation. On your forearms like this, your legs stretched. And wherever you are, let your knees come down. Find yourself in table, tuck your tailbone under, let your hips move back toward your heels, dive your chest through into cow pose, tuck under into cat pose, hips move back towards the heels. And take your right knee forward for pigeon on this side. Your left leg goes long back behind you. Look here, you could bend your knees more like a pinwheel shape, and you could lean over on one forearm. So you have other options here. This is what I call like a square pigeon. So your hips are square and your back leg is kind of straight back behind you. But you could also roll over a little bit on your right hip and come down in that way. So find the best position for your body. Take a couple of moments to do that. And then keep refining your position by listening and letting your breath be your guide. If you want a little more oomph, you can tuck your back toes under and you could lift your back knee. That's quite a lot of work for your body. You could see if maybe that's what you're seeking. You could rock a little bit side to side. Keep breathing. Take one more inhale and exhale here in pigeon, downward facing. And start to bring yourself up to straight arms. You can roll over onto your hip and bring your back leg forward. You can assist it forward with your arms and pull it in and do the seated pigeon, rocking your leg around. Nice job. Stretch your legs out in front of you. Roll through your toes. Move through your feet and your ankles. Then we'll scoot forward towards the top of the mat. Hug your legs toward your torso. Squeeze in. And then lift up, put your hands on the tops of your legs and slide yourself down, all the way down onto your back. Once you get all the way down, put your hands on the top of your stomach, maybe one hand on your rib cage, one hand on your heart, and one hand on your stomach. That's only two of those places. And let your head rock from left to right a couple times. And bring your arms long down by your sides. And we'll practice bridge pose. Walk your heels right underneath your knees. Press your big toes and your heels down. Squeeze your glutes a little, and then lift your hips any amount. If you lift your chin just slightly, you can have space at a little more space at the back of your neck. And if you press your weight a little bit more down into your feet, and move your knees forward a little bit, then you can lengthen as much as you lift. Lengthen and lift. You're lengthening through the tops of your legs and the fronts of your hips and through the space between your hip bones and your lower ribs. Stretching out those muscles there. Then tuck your tailbone and roll yourself all the way back down. Rock your head from left to right. Walk your feet out a little bit and rock your knees left and right. And straighten your left leg along the mat. Scoot your hips over to the right and take your right knee across your body over towards the left. Now, if I let my right shoulder pop up, my knee will come all the way to the floor. And then I let my right shoulder come down and my knee comes up. And so I'm just finding the balance between these 2 points. And if any time you feel like you want more support, look at this. You can prop up your crossed leg with your hand. And you could also bring your arm forward instead of back. So you have options, plenty of options. Listen to your body. How's your breath? How's your sensation? Is it agreeable? Maybe you don't think in sensation in those terms. Maybe you have your own term. Maybe it's a shape or a color, a smell or a taste. Give yourself one more moment here in twist, and then roll back onto your back. Both legs lengthen out of the bottom of your torso. Lengthen your head and your neck. Arms long down by your sides. Press your palms down, your fingers down. Big toes, heels, squeeze the glutes, lift the hips. Slightly lift your chin. Breathe softly, breathe into your body. Give yourself time to sink and settle in. And breathe your hips back down. Exhale all the way down. Now you're straightening the right leg and bringing your left knee in toward your chest. You can kind of scooch your hips over towards the left, and then take your left knee, cross your body over towards the right. And you can rearrange yourself. Maybe you need a little more space to roll over. You can take your left arm and do anything you want with your left arm. It might come across. Remember, you might have your knee kind of come down towards the floor, or you could prop up your inside of your knee with your forearm. You could rock back and forth. Another really interesting way to find the twist here in your body. And then just be here for a little while. If your mind starts to drift away and wander, that's okay. Just let it go where it wants to go, and then bring your mind back to where you are right now. Just acknowledge if you've got a thought or if you have a sensation that you need to take care of or address. You can do that and then come back. Come back to noticing the twist, noticing the left side of your body, noticing, maybe remembering the right side and seeing if this is different. And then gradually rolling back onto your back. We'll do one more bridge pose. Wiggle yourself back into long spine, long neck, firm legs, long arms, planting your fingertips down, lifting your chin a little, and lift your hips. Now, this last time in bridge, encourage your breath to be full and steady, big and expansive. Notice what parts of your body are moving as you breathe. And tuck your tail down and roll your hips back down onto the mat. Bring your knees in toward your chest and wiggle your low back a little longer. And you can kick your feet around and hold the backs of your legs. Sometimes people like to hold on to their feet. So you could hold on to your big toes. Sometimes people like to hold on to the outside edges of their feet and stick their legs up. And sometimes people don't like to pick their feet up at all and prefer to have their feet down and rock their knees left and right. It's all good. Choose which one you like best. Because we're just loosening and lengthening and working out the low back, stretching it out, giving it some relief. And each one of those postures is a little bit different for everybody. So if you're not feeling that same sensation, then give yourself the opportunity to notice what sensation you do feel and acknowledge that. And then start to straighten your legs. Straighten your legs, straighten your arms. Bring yourself into resting position. So we're resting now on the mat with your palms up and your toes flop out from center line of the body and your nose pointing up towards the ceiling. And breathe here for a couple of rounds. A round is an inhale and an exhale. And notice if this is a position that you want to maintain for a number of minutes. And if it isn't, how can you give yourself a more easeful, a more supportive position? So for you, it might be to bend your knees. It might be to lay on your side. It might be to sit up. You can do anything at all that you want. I'm going to sit up. You can do exactly as you like. You can be lying down here. And once you've found this position for yourself, it takes a little bit. Settle in. Give yourself time. Start to return your attention to your breath and how your breath feels. Invite your breath to be full and expansive. As full and as expansive as it gets. Now start to notice when you inhale, what happens in your body, and when you exhale, what happens in your body. When you inhale, say to yourself, I'm inhaling. And when you exhale, say to yourself, I'm exhaling. Now, of course, obviously, you're inhaling and you're exhaling. This is deliberate. This is keeping your mind a task, keeping your mind in tune, keeping your mind in step with your breath. I'm inhaling. I'm exhaling. I'm inhaling. I'm exhaling. Keep breathing like this, noting your inhales and your exhales. with your acknowledgement that that's what you're doing. I'm inhaling, I'm exhaling. We're going to move through an acknowledgement and a scan of our bodies from our toes all the way up to the crown of the head. So if you want, you can keep working with that technique. I'm inhaling, I'm exhaling. You can keep coming back to that technique to stay really present and to be really cognizant of your breath, to be aware, to stay in the moment, to be in your body. Anytime you like. Cut to I'm inhaling, I'm exhaling. Start to acknowledge and wiggle your right toes. Move your right foot, your right ankle, your right lower leg. Notice your right shin, your right calf. Notice the parts of your right knee, your right upper leg, and your right hip. Take a big inhale. I'm inhaling. Exhale. Let your whole right leg soften a little bit and get a little heavier. Now notice your left toes, your left foot, your left ankle, your left lower leg, your left knee. Notice and wiggle a little bit your left thigh and your left hip. Exhale and let your whole left leg get a little softer, a little heavier. Next inhale, take a big breath in and notice the base of your body and your low belly and the middle of your belly, your stomach, your navel. Notice your low back, your middle back, and your upper back. Notice all of your internal organs, your rib cage, your lungs and your heart, your breastbone, your collarbones, your shoulder blades. Notice all the parts of your torso. Exhale and let your torso get a little bit softer, a little bit heavier. Noticing what parts of your torso are touching perhaps the floor or the wall if you're sitting up. Next, take a big breath in and notice your right hand, your right fingers, your right palm, the back of your hand, your right wrist, your right forearm. Notice your right elbow and observe and acknowledge your right upper arm. Notice your armpit, your right shoulder. You could move it around a little bit. Take a big inhale and exhale and let your whole right arm just get a little bit heavier. You can let your fingers curl in towards the center of your right palm. Now notice and observe your left fingers, your left palm, the back of your left hand, your left wrist. Notice and observe your left forearm, your left elbow, your left upper arm. You can wiggle it a little bit. Your left armpit, your left shoulder. You can inhale and move it a little bit and exhale. Let your whole left arm get soft and heavy and melt. Get a little bit heavier into your space, whatever it's resting on. Now notice the front of your neck, the sides, and the back of your neck. You can move your head around a little bit, stretching and loosening the sides, the front, and the back of your neck. You can swallow, acknowledge the inside of your throat. As you exhale softly, let your neck, your throat, sides, tops of your shoulders get a little bit softer. The back of your neck softens up. Now notice the back of your head, the sides and the top of your head, your scalp. Notice your right ear and your left ear. Go up to the top of your head with your awareness and come down the front of your face, noticing your forehead, your eyebrows, your upper eyelid and your lower eyelid. Noticing your eyes, your eyeballs, feeling muscles behind your eyes, allowing those muscles to soften a little bit. First, the right eye, muscles behind the right eye, softening even just 5%. Noticing the muscles behind your left eye, softening maybe even just a few percentage points, softening a little bit. Moving your awareness to the middle of your face, your nose, noticing the bridge of your nose, the sides of your nose, your nostrils, noticing the inside of your nose. As you inhale and exhale, the tip of your nose. Moving back out to your cheeks, your right side of your face, the left side of your face. Noticing your temples, your cheekbones, the sides of your jaw. Moving your awareness to your upper lip. You might even move your upper lip a little bit, your lower lip, the corners of your mouth. Noticing the inside of your mouth, inside of your cheeks, your gums. Noticing your tongue, maybe moving your tongue a little bit inside your mouth. And then letting your jaw get soft and heavy. Take a big inhale and notice your whole head, your whole face, your ears, your scalp, all the muscles that are on top of your scalp, on top of your skull and underneath your scalp. Exhale and let all those muscles get a little bit heavier, a little bit softer. And now return to your whole body. Feel your whole body. Take a big soft inhale breath. And exhale, sink a little bit, get a little bit softer. Return to your practice. I'm inhaling. I'm exhaling. I'm inhaling. I'm exhaling. We'll be quiet for just about 1 minute. If there's any place in your body that you felt you wanted to linger on, to pay a little bit more attention to, you can return your attention there and breathe and pay attention to that place. Or you can keep practicing this practice. I'm inhaling. I'm exhaling. You can start to swallow, Maybe wiggle your fingers and your toes. You could roll your wrists and your ankles. You could move your shoulders and your hips. If you're lying down or if you're not already sitting up, you can gradually start to bring yourself back to awareness of the way that you placed your body and gradually bring yourself back up to seated. Once you get up to seated, you can rub your hands together, becoming fully awake, fully alert, fully present. Let your thumbs come toward your sternum, hands together, elbows dangling down at your sides, tucking in. Sit tall, pull your face back a little bit, lift through the crown of your head. Acknowledge your practice. Acknowledge the time that you take to listen, the time that you take to make space, the time that you take to focus on your well-being, so that you can help others out of the abundance of your well-being. Take a big soft inhale breath through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me tonight. I appreciate it so much. It's my pleasure to teach for Comeback Yoga, and I wish you well. I hope you can come back and see me again soon. And if you have time to check out all of our wonderful teachers, we have amazing, amazing teachers who teach for Comeback Yoga. And we're so lucky to be able to bring our practice to you. And I'll see you next time. Take care.